right, so this is Coach Gary with GLS Training and GOTA Movement, and welcome to Recoded, the podcast. Couple of special guests with us today, but you know, my partner in crime as far as the GOTA stuff goes and all. I got Rick Stanzi going to be with us here. Ricky, you could kind of introduce yourself a little bit, let them know where you come from, what you do.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be on today. We got some great guests. Like Gary said, you know, we're business partners with GLS GOTA. We have an education system. We have a recode system, you could say, a workout program that we put people through to take them from poor movement patterns to good movement patterns and get them pain-free and, you know, kind of squeezing every inch out of their potential, whether it's on athletics or just kind of moving about their day-to-day.
Yep. So today, let's get into it. I got two special guests, as a lot of y'all been seeing. Our very own Jameis Winston is going to be here with us today, and his longtime mentor and trainer, Coach Otis Leverette. I said that right? Yeah, I didn't get that wrong. All right. And he is the owner of Modern Day Fitness, which is a facility. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the facility, Coach?
Well, primarily it's a deal. We are out of Birmingham, Alabama. I've been running it now about 14. Well, now going on 15 years, training athletes all throughout the Birmingham area. And you know, not only am I learning some new stuff for us as GOTA is concerned, but we've been at it for a long time. Put over 400 kids in college, nice. and 10 or 12 in the NFL, and we just the list goes on. We've been very blessed, and both males and females participate in the training program, and it's a mentorship program as well.
Sweet. And while we're talking about it, your wife, she has Modern Day Holistics, which is a CMOS company.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can do all this work, but we got to watch what's going in our body, and that's what she does. She puts an emphasis on the CMOS is one of her greatest products that she sells, but she does juices, lemonade, all this stuff is cold pressed, all of it's organic, natural, and real products to boost the nutrition along with the working out.
Yeah, you got to have it.
And the juice has CMOS in it. Yeah. So if you don't want to buy the CMOS and you want to start off light with a juice.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can just get a juice, and the juice already has handcrafted
And y'all
CMOS
ship around the country?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, great. Any product. So that's what's the .com on that?
modernholistic.com.
Okay,
yeah.
modernholistic.com.
Holistics with an X at the end.
X. Okay, cool. Yeah, and we'll have that information for anybody if y'all need to inbox us or reach out to us or whatever. And so, you know, second, Jameis Winston, Saints QB as of right now, and Florida State, Bucks. I mean, when I start looking at this list of accolades and stuff, youngest player to ever win the Heisman, first pick of the NFL draft, national champion, and then the baseball side of it, and then everything you did in the ACC and all. And it's first off, man, I appreciate you doing the show. You know, this ain't part of anything you ever have to do, and the more that we getting into this training stuff, and I'm getting to spend some time with you and Coach, and really finding out the personal side of Jameis Winston. It's been a true pleasure, man, just to have you around here and the way you interact with everybody. So I appreciate that. First of all,
the pleasure's all mine. And in terms of the accolades, it's glory to God. Like Rick know how that journey is, and training from such a young age and being able to live out your dream of being able to compete in the NFL. So that is, you know, it's always a dream of mine. So once we reach that dream, we just look for a way to go higher. But, man, I appreciate you for welcoming us into your facility and being able to give me something new and something beneficial to hopefully elongate my career even further. So I'm happy that you're in this journey, you get you a little piece in this road to glory, so to speak, man. So I'm just thankful of all the work that you've been putting in. And you know, we know how far we have came. Coach O has came as a trainer, and we heard a little bit about your story. So, man, we're grateful that we're able to kind of mesh the minds together and go to work.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you know, Rick, you and Jay got a, you know, y'all been a place, and Coach, you played some NFL ball and all of that stuff too. And you know, a lot of times people from the outside see things, or they don't understand the human side of this whole thing. And listen, I didn't, because I wasn't always a trainer, right? So, you know, like I said, getting to meet you and meet y'all and all, and getting the personal side. But when there was a moment where you first met, like there was that you know, here's Jameis Winston walks up to you, he's a kid. Tell us how that happens.
Well, I'm a person, and it kind of goes to the story in which how me and you met. I'm a person where I'm all for benefiting the people that I'm working with, and it don't matter if it's a kid I train or a kid I just see that needs some help, that I know I can add something impactful to them or into their journey. So when I seen Jameis, we were at a camp in Birmingham, Alabama. It was a rivals camp. And there were kids from all around the Birmingham area, the metropolitan areas, even the outskirts of Birmingham. They were at that camp. Well, Jameis was running the 40 at the time, and I'm watching his 40-yard dash stance, and I'm just like, man, I know this kid can run way faster than that. If I can just go up here, and you know, me just being me, I didn't really care if I got some lashback from. I'm just the type of person when I see somebody need help, and that's
speak on it.
And it's kind of crazy because again, that's how me and you met.
Right.
Because you were like, hey man, if you change some of his movement pattern, we can prevent some of these injuries. And you posted something online, and I went, you know, we kind of went back and forth a little bit, but then now we're here.
Yeah.
So I respect people that'll stick their nose in other folks' business for the good.
Yeah.
So what I did was I kind of stuck my nose in his business. I was like, hey man, if you change this up, you can run a lot faster. His dad is in the background watching. I don't know. It wasn't even about trying to get the guy who's going to become a Heisman winner.
Right, you didn't know at that time.
Nah. And so after that, me and the dad had a conversation. He knew me from playing at UAB and some other, we knew some of the same people. And he just said, hey, if you don't mind, I want you to start working with him. And he brought him out to my building and started training. And here we are, Heisman Trophy, All-American, first-round draft pick, Pro Bowls later. So we've been blessed. It's been a blessed journey. But that's how I started. Me correcting his 40-yard dash thing.
What you said? What this man talking about?
That was an incredible experience, man. Because like. You see Otis like 6'10", you know what I'm saying? He's the biggest guy.
Yeah, let me tell you something too, because you could have been that guy that came in here and snapped my neck easy. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the funny thing, because we always joke around and we like, somebody's gonna kick our ass one day. Somebody's coming in here and they're gonna take they're gonna take it the wrong way, and then that's gonna be the end of Gary.
Well, Coach O was like literally one of those first people to like go at me, because Little League football, like I was the man, you know what I'm saying? Like playing football, I was doing all this fun stuff, but we had like a true like a combine. We was running 40-yard dash, doing shuttles, like doing vertical jumps and this, that, and the other. And like it was a lot of kids at their camp that was testing high to me, and here go this big old dude leaning over the fence, like I can see him, everybody can see him, and he's like, hey man, like you might have to run better than that, man. like I can help you out with that, you know. And you know, my dad was like, hold on, man, who is this guy, you know, critiquing my baby already? And that instantly, that love and that passion that my dad had for me instantly going to get wanting to get better. He was like, I need somebody that can push my son like that. I need somebody that's going to be truthful with my son. You know, because when you're a young kid growing up and you're successful in sports, you think that you on top of the world. You 100%. Know, so that first encounter of someone, you know, looking beyond of my football talent and just like, hey man, I can help this kid, the person, together as a complete athlete, man. And I tested to this day. We got together at the end of my 8th grade year, man, and I was running like a 5.2. I think I ran like a 5.2 at the combine 8th grade year. And then I remember going to Alabama camp 10th grade, man, running the 4.62. You know, so just over 2 years of just working, man, we took that.
He did what he said.
He did what he said, you know, and that was obviously when people say that they can help you and you don't see results immediately, you start like, oh man, like what am I doing? Like, do I need to go other option? But it's a true testament to like, man, if you put your mind to it and you buy in, like it's a difference of saying like, hey, I'm gonna do it, but it's a difference of buying into a program and consistently working, and it worked, and we accomplished a lot together.
Yeah, and that behavior that has been instilled or created, you know, that's the whole thing we talk about with our athletes too, about taking that even out of football. Like, you've been successful in football and in the professional world, but if that wouldn't have had happened, you would have had a journey somewhere else that God had planned for you, and those behaviors would have translated over to that. But you know, you go through that process, and then you are the Gatorade Player of the Year or whatever in high school, and you're the #1 quarterback on ESPN's board coming out. There is a mental side to that, that everybody thinks it's great to be that guy. So you as the mentor are trying to keep him humble, you know what I'm saying? And you as the athlete are trying to maintain that and still manage all of the publicity that comes along with that. And we got a lot of younger viewers out there and stuff that are listening, and they need to hear that. They need to hear from you what it's like to be in those shoes. And then maybe there's a trainer out there that needs to hear from you that, hey, what it's like to be in that trainer's shoes when you're dealing with that, because that could go wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to speak from a player perspective, man, and Coach O, we talk about this all the time. Like, you need that confrontation. You need that player to challenge your skills, to challenge your beliefs even, you know, because sometimes we get so one-track minded, especially when you're on a successful path as a young kid. I was fortunate to have my dad in my life who poured so much into me, getting me around men like Coach O, being able to play travel ball and have some type of failures, especially in my baseball career. Because I trained more as a baseball athlete coming up than football. Like, football was just like the sport that I loved, and I just can go out there and play. But baseball, man, I would encourage kids to play multiple sports, because you get a chance to fail at different things. You get a chance to challenge your body in a different way. When you just doing something that you're good at all the time, man, you experience that success, and the first time you get slapped in the face is the first time you find somebody that's better than you. You start to question yourself. But honestly, you should have been questioning your competition the whole time. So, man, I'm thankful for my father and the Lord for providing me with, I would say, you know, my grandma, aunties always used to say it takes a village to raise a child, surrounding me with great men and women to not only lift me up and praise me when I do well, but to challenge me and correct me when I didn't do something great, or put me in situations that I failed in.
And listen, just like, you know, watching, you know, from just a fan's perspective, not like person that's working with you on your team now and all, like, you've always handled everything in stride. Like, it was always a class act. And I don't think there's anybody in New Orleans that would say anything other than that you've been nothing but a class act since you've been here. Now, Coach, you know, how was that, having that top prospect? And I know you got, because now his brother's coming up.
I mean, he led the way for me. I will never, first of all, I'll be forever indebted for his father. A lot of times people come to me and they say, hey, man, I got this kid and he's really special. He got an opportunity to be really, really good. One thing I learned from Jameis and his father, to ask a key question is not so much as how special the kid is, how special are the people around that kid? Because that talent is going to hit a brick wall in a minute, and if you don't have, like Jameis say, them yes men and them no men, and then everybody chiming together and make a village around that kid, the chances of that kid really making it to his highest heights, it gets very slim. Prime example, and I would challenge anybody to really look it up. If you go back in history, there hadn't been very many child prodigies make it to a high level in sports. LeBron is one of them, you know.
Kobe.
Kobe is one of them. And even Kobe will tell you he kind of struggled early on in his high school career and things of that nature, and when he was young in middle school. But you talking about a guy who literally was successful since Little League and then goes on to win the Heisman and be the #1 overall draft pick. I mean, these guys are very, very rare. Even when you look throughout the NFL with the 32 starting quarterbacks, if you be honest with yourself, most of these guys kind of ascended to where they were. They hadn't been in the pressure cooker the whole time. He's been in the pressure cooker since, since 7, 8 years old and even beyond that. But I think what made him special and what I think people need to understand is his support system. And I will always, like I say, his dad is a lot like us in the sense of, hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity to be who you say you are. And if you who you say you are, man, I'll ride and die for you. But if you ain't who you say you are, then I got to move on from you. And I respect a fair opportunity like he gave me to be able to be in his family life. And now, like I say, going on to work with Jonah Winston, who is his brother, who is also a guy that's going to have already has a whole lot of Division I offers.
Yeah, he just popped Alabama, huh?
Yeah.
So you know what comes behind that. But and Rick, you had your dad through the process, huh? I mean, he kind of was the that light that you followed, huh?
Yep. Yeah, no, when I was listening to Jameis kind of speak on his past, there were three things that kind of stood out to me. Was one, having that father figure, having somebody that is going to push you to get better. And for me, my father had kind of two things that he always pushed me towards, which I heard Jameis talk about, which is that growth mindset. And then you've got to put yourself in a competitive scenario often. And I think that's the big thing that I noticed when I first met Jameis was, you walk in, he's going through a workout, and he's got laser-like vision, and he's diving into what he's doing. He's a sponge to that moment in time. And I don't think a lot of people, we talked about this on the IG Live, and Coach O was just mentioning it, but Jameis has been really good for a really long time. And I don't think the young kids understand what it's like to be dealing with all those distractions that come with that, but then to show up every single day and be able to pay the rent every single day and to have the growth mindset every single day and be willing to put yourself in a competitive scenario when you're on the top of the mountain. It's more challenging up there. Sometimes it's easier to be the underdog and work your way up and ascend than it is to always be on top and everybody's, barking at your feet. So, those were the things that stuck out to me meeting Jameis and watching him work, is having that growth mindset, having that sort of like, oh, we're doing no support drop-in. Well, I'm going to compete at no support drop-in then, right? We're playing baseball. Well,
whatever the task is. Yeah.
At baseball, whatever that task is. And I think the young people listening, the parents listening, those are the three things I would take away and try to get around the youth that you're present with, your own kids or the community that you're in, which is have role models around them of various types. Not only a father, but people like a Coach O, like a Coach Gary. Yeah. And then you have to have a growth mindset. It's never good enough. We can be happy, but we also have to keep pushing that plateau to another level. And then that third piece, which is probably sometimes taken advantage of or not done enough, which is get into a competitive scenario. And I like what Jameis said about, vary that competitive scenario. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations where you're not the best person. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations where it's not your favorite sport or maybe not your number one sport, because those moments there, they don't let you relax. They let you keep progressing because, like Jameis will tell you, you can be good at high school, but once you get to college, it's a whole nother level. Then once you get to pros, it's a whole nother level. So you're always going to have to match that competition, and having those three things, having a good support system, having a growth mindset, and then being competitive, those don't fail you at any level.
Yeah. And you think that's a quarterback thing? You think it's because there's a lot of attention to detail with that QB position.
No, it is, but more importantly, I think it's a baseball thing. Like, you just got to think about the sport of baseball. Like, you're literally a Hall of Famer if you can hit the ball 3 out of 10 times. So I failed way more in baseball than I did. Like, point.
You love baseball too.
I do. I love baseball. That's like it's always going to be there in my heart. I always wanted to play both in the pros. I didn't get the opportunity, but I think when, like, we always talk about circumstances and to the young kids and young parents and young guardians, just to let you know, like, yes, Rick and I had a father figure, which is very important into kids' lives, but you don't have to have a biological father in your life for you to be successful. We see that happening all day, but you do have to have a corrector, someone that is going to lift you up and someone that is going to challenge you in everything that you do. Mm-hmm. So if you are looking for somebody to invest in you, like, make sure that person isn't just telling you, hey, great job, great job, great job, great job. Yeah. Make sure that person
not on the pedestal.
Yeah, because it happens a lot. Because once you reach a certain level, and Rick knows about this, once you reach a certain level, that affirmation has to come from within. Absolutely. And if you don't have people that are giving you both ends of that spectrum, when you having success, you're gonna be on this holistic high. But when you fall or you don't achieve what you want to achieve, when you don't reach that expectation that you want for yourself, that's a crash. Instead of you having the mindset, that growth mindset of like, man, I got to get better. Mm-hmm. I got to find a way to address this. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, in terms of support systems, a lot of kids don't get that nowadays because you got NIL, man. You got people that are afraid to approach kids because the kid might say, oh, you not for me, let me move on, because everybody's looking for that person that'll pat you on the back. But the person that rebukes you, you wanna get mad at them, cut them out your life. But that's probably the person that you need. That you need in your life. And you know, my whole life, the perspective of me has always been, oh man, he has a dad in his life, especially me being from Beltsville, Alabama. He got a dad in his life, everything good for him. But my daddy wasn't a daddy that was just like, oh yeah, my son, I mean, he pooped Krispy Kreme donuts. Like my dad, like, nah, my dad was whooping me till I was 17 years old. Like he put that discipline in me. Like he put that environment, that tough environment around me. And you know, and I think that's what we need as young kids, because that's how we learn how to grow in the real world. You know, that tough environment. How can we overcome when things don't go your way? Yeah.
See, one of the big things too is like you know, a lot of times, and I see it happen with. It's like in travel baseball for some reason. I always go back to that, because you'll see these dads that they actually trying to live through the child. So when the kid ain't leading off playing shortstop, then they go and start another team or something like that. And then what happens is, you know, everything that you've been through in your life, it created circumstance, or it created these situations where you develop character, right? And I listen to Eric Thomas and Inky Johnson and those guys, and he's like, man, character, your talent will take you somewhere where your character can't keep you. And you could see the development. You know you went through it. But And I think that pedestal life for them kids, and you know, when the kid's not getting, it's like you emotionally get arrested development, or you know, and these kids they fall victim to it a lot of times. And then, like you said, social media, NIL, the recruiting process can destroy a child. You know what I'm saying? I know when I remember the day clearly when Jamal signed, he was crying, and everybody thought he was crying because he signed with LSU. He was crying because it was finally over with. You know what I'm saying? Just the stress that kid was under, for an 18-year-old to have to go through that is just it's incredible.
It is. And just as an athlete in general, like, these kids are pushed so much, you know, from the common human. They look at athletes as like, hey, they got everything. They get free scholarships. They get this. But the majority of those athletes come from nothing. Yeah, they come from no real background. Like, even their parents, if they got both parents, which is a blessing, like, their parents don't have anything. You know, so like, we need to just have a human perspective on this whole thing. If the Lord blessed this kid with some type of talent, let's build this kid up and be honest with the kid, right? So he can grow, instead of just looking at the kid like, oh, he got a scholarship because he knows how to run a fast 40-yard dash. Like, you gotta understand, like, this is our lifetime. Rick knows, like, this is our livelihood for this time now. So we have to be as present as we possibly can be. We're not entering college saying like, yeah, we saying we're gonna get our degree, you know what I'm saying? But we're entering college to make it to the league and to win championships. Yeah. Like, that's it. And that's our mind. So think about the psychological disappointment that is for a young kid. Now, we're not talking about a grown man. No, it's a child. This is a child that's getting disappointed at an age, because only 1% of us make it. Only 1% out of all these kids, and this is football, right? I'm not even gonna talk about baseball, because baseball and basketball, worse, you gotta put in all the people from overseas and all from different countries. We talking about America's most popular sport of football. Everybody, well, for the most part, everybody I know love football. But when these kids don't make it to the NFL, what else do they have? What else they've been training for? Like, we blessed to have people like you with facilities that we can go train. But after that, it's like, man, where am I going from this? That transition is tough, no matter what age it is.
And that's one of the big things with GOTA, and where my passion is that I know that I'm trying to remove the injury factor off that table. You know what I'm saying? And that, because in here in New Orleans, and you've been around the city long enough to see what goes on the nightly, you know, I mean, all you gotta do is turn on the TV, right? And I know that if I don't give my kids the direction, give them the understanding, the knowledge of just their body, but also some type of character building, or put them in a situation where they challenged, then I know what's waiting for them. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much, like we had the conversation last week, pretty much every kid in the city, some kind of way either goes through me and AB. And we didn't see eye to eye at one time. And I sitting back going, how much were we taking away from them kids? Because of our own personal egos and things like that. So still at 48 years old, I still have these growth moments and stuff like that. But, today is National Signing Day or whatever. And, you had that day where you had to make that decision. And what's Florida State?
Man, that day was so wild for me just because I'm an Alabama kid. Like my whole family wanted me to go to Alabama or Auburn, so when I chose Florida State, you would think that a lot of good things would happen, but like everything bad started happening, man. Like I started getting hated on at school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not really that good if I'm playing football and I don't go to Alabama or Auburn. So it's a psychological thing in Alabama. Mm-hmm. If you're a kid, and I'm 35 minutes from Tuscaloosa. So you a kid that lives in Alabama, you don't go to Alabama or Auburn, you're not good at football because you didn't want to go to one of those two schools.
Right.
Nah, but I chose Florida State, because they allowed me to play baseball and football. And that was my dream. And at the time, Jimbo Fisher and Coach Mike Martin, they were there. Coach Mike Martin, historical baseball coach, winningest coach in the history of baseball, actually. He's retired now. But I just believed in them. Mm-hmm. And I just love, and Tallahassee's not really Florida.
And you were drafted into the MLB.
I was drafted in the 15th round out of high school, yeah.
So it wasn't like you just went there because you wanted to. You was good.
Yeah.
Like you could.
No doubt. Like, it was my dream. It was my dream to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I know. I think Kyler Murray could have went either way.
He got drafted first round.
Yeah. So he had a big decision to make too, or whatever. And then, Coach, what's your role in that? Like, what? How do you? I know. I could pretty much know the answer, but the people need to know is because I know. Hey, man, I supported whatever he did. I know that's probably.
Absolutely. Me and him, we talk all the time. I got a saying that pressure is for the unprepared, and no matter what you put in front of him or us as a team, I just feel like pressure is for the unprepared. And when you've been preparing for something as long as he has, physically, mentally, spiritually, when you've been preparing the way he's prepared, nothing scared me. So whatever his choice was, I felt we were going to thrive. Even to this day, I have no doubt whatever you put in front of us, we're gonna find our way to the better side of it. Because again, the preparation says that at some point, because the Bible talks about faith without works is dead, and I always flip it. I say work without faith is dead too. So if we're gonna do all this work, we gotta have some faith in it. So when these opportunities come before me, they don't scare me at all, and I've always felt that way. So when he went to college at Florida State and decided that's where he wanted to go play baseball and football, man, I knew with everything, and he'll tell you as a young age, I was telling him, man, we're gonna be the #1 quarterback in the nation. I remember that they did a Sports Illustrated article when he was 12th grade year in college, and I was telling the guy who interviewed me that I tell him to study the LeBrons, the Cam Newtons. People under the comment were killing us like, man, what is this guy talking about? He was only in high school then, but I believed that much, and I knew we were headed in this direction. So I have no fear for what's going to happen now, and that's the same mentality I had back then.
Yeah. So you touched on it a little bit earlier, Coach. You seen the post I did on social media, and however it got to you or whatever. You look at it, you see it, and then what's I know the initial reaction probably don't feel good, but
Well, yeah. So with the social media, like I said, I have a rule on social media, generally speaking, because as long as I've been dealing with Jameis, I got some other pro guys, primarily him, man, you get all this troll, you get all this stuff that is, I'm telling you, man, I've received everything from racist comments to, just flat out, just pure hate. It
probably death threats when you didn't go to Bama.
Oh, man.
No, it's been amazing.
Bro, I could imagine, yeah.
No.
My grass on fire.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Someone
burnt your grass.
Put gasoline on my yard.
Jeez.
Like I'm on my grass, like kept my grass, beat my mailbox up, sent my grandma hate mail.
That's ridiculous.
No, we've been going through this a long time, man.
Yeah.
And in a place you expect him to be celebrated in, he was not because of the decision he made.
Yeah.
Which obviously turned out for the better for him and his family.
Yeah.
And so I got it. Like I say, I don't deal with trolls very often. I don't deal with them at all. Mm-hmm. But when I see qualified people, mm-hmm. you know, and when I went on to your Facebook, I mean your Instagram, and seen you're a qualified person, you train athletes, I will respond to those coaches, ex-athletes, people that, you know, got bigger names. I will respond to them a lot faster because it's like, okay, I expect you to understand. Mm-hmm. Now, regular grandmama getting on there saying, oh, you know, Coach Otis suck and Jameis suck too. You know, I don't have any comeback for that. Right. But when I see people that I consider to be qualified make comments, I'm going to always come back on it generally. Mm-hmm. So again, I went in and I did my research. And when I seen it, I was sitting there like, wow, man, okay. I got to reach out to this guy because somebody sent it to me in my inbox. I said, I got to reach out to this guy because it was still fresh. And it's just like, wow, man, can a man even be heard in peace?
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the way I took it initially. Mm-hmm. But thank God, me being who I am, we had the conversation and we're here now because in the end, if I see something that can get us to that goal and help that preparation process I talked about, then, hey, man, we're going to do what it takes.
And let me say this. We always say this too, like that's who we want to work with. Like, we don't want to work with a guy that's worried about, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not the most comfortable way to do things, but, you know, they got a lot of kids out there that follow us and stuff like that. And our goal is to inform and not to, you know, we don't never want, you was rolling too. Like, we was about to go to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Like the last thing I want to see is our quarterback go down. You know what I'm saying? And, It got us to this point though because of like what you said and who you are. But so now we in it, right? Now we in it. You come in, you get the eval. We go through the eval the first day. How's that?
The biggest thing was just the instant release of my ankles and my hips. Like I'm tight hip. And my ankles are locked up, and we still working on it to this day.
Yeah.
But I mean, I heard from a couple of guys on my team. They was like, "Hey, man, GOTA, you got to do GOTA." And Eric Gorman, one of my body specialists, he was telling me, "Hey, man, we got to get you in GOTA." And even AB, my lady, she trained with Bree at AB facility, and AB literally texted me. He's like, "Man, I got to get you connected with the GOTA guys." And I didn't even respond. I'm not good at text. I'm sorry, but anyways. I didn't respond, but somehow I ended up here. Mm-hmm. So I knew it was like, this was meant to be. Mm-hmm. It was meant to be for me to recode or whatever for my body. And I knew that I needed it because you attack everything that I'm weak at. My ankles, my hips, and being in the back train. I'm front loaded. I run out of my quads. I drop out of my quads. Everything I do is out of my quads. So taking me from being that front chain dominant to learning how to use my backside has really revamped me as an overall athlete, man, because I'm coming off certain back pain, knee pain, Achilles pain, like just a lot of different things with my body. And I tell Coach, like, this is the most important time for me to do this, not having a break like people typically do after the season, but just, man, I'm just going to attack this GOTA at this time when my body's most vulnerable to anything, and I'm gonna try to perfect it, man. And now this is a relationship that I look forward to having, and this is definitely a foundation. The foundation of GOTA is something that I'm going to be including into my work for the rest of my career.
Yeah, that's refreshing to hear. That tail to crown relationship, Rick, is and that's what me and Coach O been pounding away, because we in that little phase where we starting to throw some of the stuff that y'all was doing before, or whatever, and starting to, you know, implement those things. And, you know, you in the cert now, right? So you getting that education firsthand in comparison to what's been the way. Not necessarily your way, but the training industry it's still in a stone age in comparison to the rest of the world. Like the technology world and things like that. When you're sitting up here on a podcast with somebody in Cleveland, like that's not the training industry though. It hasn't kept up.
Right. I just know the GOTA work is beneficial for any athlete. Like when I see them, those wise people coming here, the people north of 50 coming here and getting the work in and being consistent with it, and I see just how their bodies looks and how they pain free. Like me being in the league, I mean, Tom Brady just retired yesterday, and he's played in the league for 45 years. Like Rick knows how it is to be a quarterback. We know, like, man, if we can stay healthy and we can keep our arm and just our body don't break down as we can play in this league for how long the league allow us to play. You know, especially if we still processing it and playing at a high level. But we just need our body. And the past 3 years, I've been getting banged up, you know, not necessarily knowing why. But, man, I'm just trying to get my body to where it needs to be. And I'm a believer that GOTA is going to help my body get to where it needs to be in terms of just how the dynamics of how my body needs to be in cutting movements, whether it's dropping, whether it's doing a pocket movement, whether it's pocket presence. I'm a believer that, man, I know if my inside ankle bowling is high, right? I know if I'm on 2 to 5, I'm gonna be explosive. 2 to 5, I'm gonna be as explosive as I possibly can get. I know if I got the bow in the corner, I'm gonna be running the way that I need to be.
Yeah.
And that 1% is all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, like, a lot of people are looking for, man, what can help change me overall? Like, what can take me from being this quarterback to being a Hall of Fame quarterback like that? Like, no, it's a process with everything. And I just believe in this 1% of GOTA is going to help me to reach the process that I want to be in.
Yeah, and we just want it's longevity.
Yeah,
it's not nothing other than longevity and giving you the opportunity to be Jameis Winston. You know.
Yeah, no, and I tell Coach Otis all the time, like, man, the work that we put in, that was groundwork. That was work that had to be done.
Yes.
Like, that was work that got us to where we at. So it's not like we gonna stop doing what we doing, but we would be a fool if we didn't incorporate things that we know that's scientifically proven that's gonna make us better. Now, if we just say like, nah, we're gonna keep doing what we doing, like, man, I know for a fact, me and Coach O, we're gonna be successful. Like, that's just how we work, and that's how we work. But at the end of the day, science is a big thing now in sports and in everything. Like, shoot, even in betting, science is so important in the game. And why not, when you got a guy like yourself, a guy like Rick, that's teaching these basic principles to help eliminate certain pains, why not grasp that concept and be all in on that? So, for, like you said, for longevity, man, I want to play for a long time, not just for now.
Yeah,
I got a saying that I use, Gary, and I learned this from being an athlete myself. Most people, and this is what I don't want to do with Jameis' life or any kid I train. This is why I vow to take my ego out of it, go through what I got to go through to make sure that they're in the best place. Because most people are scrimmaging while you're in the game, and this is what I mean, like. Most coaches are trying out new techniques, strength coach trying out this because they're working on them being a guru. And meanwhile, you're in the game, and then about 10 years later, they come back and say, oh, I know what to do now. Well, that's good, but you don't wasted 10 years of kids to get to this point that you say, oh, I know what to do now, because you overlooked everything that could have been changed, everything that could have been added, and now that kid is in the game, and you're scrimmaging with this new stuff you coming up with that ain't really got a bunch of merit, or you just trying to make yourself feel good and you don't realize what you're doing to the people. And then by that time, they ain't got no more eligibility left.
Right.
But now you claim you know.
You lost them.
Yeah, but we 10 years removed. Look at all these kids don't fail.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't move off of some of this stuff that you were making up as you were going along. So I vow, for me being an athlete, that I wouldn't do that to the people that God placed in my custody. Yeah. So from that's why the transition was easy. When you start explaining, I'm big on nature, because I just think the world is unnatural now. Period. From the way we eat, the way we think, the way we move is unnatural. And when you took it all the way back to indigenous people and babies. I was wide open at that point, because it's like, okay, we're talking about something natural now. I can feel that, but again, you got a lot of stuff out here that just is adding to the unnatural effect that's already been laid on the world.
Yeah, Rick, I see you shaking your head. Yeah, like.
Yeah, no, I'm relating with Coach O, because I feel like a younger version, in a sense, where when I came to GOTA, I was done playing. Like, ball was over. Like, I was done playing ball. So I had a complete, shift in my mindset to where, like Coach is saying, how do I give the knowledge that I have now? How do I give it back? But how do I give it back better? Like, what did I miss in this whole, 30 years of chasing this dream? What did I miss there? What could be, what can I brush over with a fine tooth comb? What can be sort of renovated and restored and brought back to kids with, more clarity, more understanding? And that was what it was for me at GOTA, which when I saw this, I was like, dude, every athlete has to hear this. Like, that was the first thing that went into my head, because I'm like, well, I'm not doing it anymore, but like, these other guys need to hear this. They need to know this information, because it's huge, and it is that 1%. We're not saying stop doing what you're doing. We're saying just take a look at what you're doing. And that's what GOTA does. It slows it down. You go frame by frame, and you now get this like, oh, that's how God designed it. That's how it's supposed to go. We know there's good and bad across many different walks, many different industries, many different concepts when it, you put it to life, right? But we get to this musculoskeletal system, we get to the training industry, and then it's kind of just opens up to, well, anything can go. And what GOTA's saying is like, no, there's a certain design, there's a creator, there's a certain way that this body's built to move. And when you're in tune with that, like Coach was alluding to, you're in tune with your eating, when you're in tune with your sleep cycles, your emotional cycles, your relationships, all these things have a certain way. The cycles have a certain way that they're supposed to flow. The seasons have a certain way that they go. The movement cycle is no different than that. And GOTA taps into that. And when you boil it down to exercise, it's really a skill. It's the skill that Jameis was working on when we're in the studio and he's doing a single leg drop and he's working on the skill of the bow. And what Jameis is figuring out, what Coach O is figuring out is that, that skill is like the cornerstone to my game. It's my game branches out from the ability to stay inside ankle bone high, to stay in a tailback crown forward relationship. And that was the big thing for me looking back as a player, is I was like, man, when my game started to go this way, there was an increase in pain. So I knew that as my pain increased, my performance was going to go down. And so if I could just eliminate pain and feel good about what I'm doing out there, feel that, hey, I want to throw an out route, and my brain wanting to throw an out route and my body wanting to throw an out route are on the same page. If I could get those two to mesh, I'm going to be a lot better off. So it's like Jameis says, a small change, but it the way that it sort of compounds and the areas that it affects for an athlete or for a coach goes really deep, because GOTA is going to make you think. It's going to make you think about how you've been doing things, and it's going to make you think about how you want to keep doing those things as you move forward.
And y'all had a nice little workout today, and it was all like, all you got to do is put the feet a certain way and then just work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The tail to crown. It's like you got these basic principles, right? Mm-hmm. And as long as you honor them. And the good thing is like, Rick's famous for saying, hey, I didn't make the ankle. Like, I just seen how it worked. Right. Like, don't, some people get upset with us. Don't get mad at us. We didn't make it. Yeah. We just making sure it works the way that it's supposed to. And then once you honor those few little things, and then the nature part of it is, listen, you look at the baby. I don't care where you're from, what ethnicity you are or whatever, babies crawl the same. If they don't, there's some type of, like the Caden Lewis kid. We had the kid that they was going to break his feet, shave his ankles down, put him in boots for a year, and then a year of physical therapy. He was 10 years old. And his dad said, I'm not trying that. And then he comes here when he's 12, and he runs at 14 a 6'9", 8 and a 60 meters indoors, like world-class speed. Yeah, he just signed a deal at university. Yeah. They were going to break this kid's feet, reset him and all of that stuff. But he crawled. They called him the Army Man because he would crawl with his feet out and drag himself. And he stayed out duck-footed. He stood up, and he took that pattern to his walk, and he embedded that in his nervous system, and it's who he became. We saying the crawl pattern, the indigenous tribesmen are doing the same thing at the foot level, at the hip level, and in the spine, and they move in the body, they transfer in the pressure through this pivot point system. And then when you look at a Michael Jordan or a Randy Moss or somebody like that, they're doing the same thing. And they just so happen to play as long as they want. Yeah. There's magic in it. And then when you go back to, that's God's creation.
Right. Well, it's the proof is in the pudding. All you got to do is put your eyes on it. All you got to do is do the work.
Yeah.
That's the biggest. You do the work, and then you study.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's one of the biggest things about GOTA. Like, hey, we're going to do this, but I'm going to show you that you're doing it right. And when you don't feel like you're doing it right, look at this picture. You're not doing it right. If you feel it, you know what I'm saying? You feel the truth.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just.
Yeah, when you get in that back chain, you know now.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Whereas before, you didn't have that kinesthetic awareness.
It's only, 2.5 weeks? Like, that's the thing. Like,
we early in this.
It's a process, man. And that 1%, that marginalism, it can take you so far. But when you are into, man, I'm about to take this big stride, and then, oh, this big stride didn't work. Okay, let me change up the system. Oh, I'm going to take this big stride. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, I'm going to change up the system. Now you putting all your time and effort to try new things, but you're not growing anywhere. Yeah. Right.
So, we talked about it earlier, and I wasn't sure. When you came in the other day, you had a shirt on said "Eat the W," and I was like, "Did I see that right?" Because I don't know. I don't know what. And you make light of probably just about anything, but that was. How was that? I mean,
that was a odd time. We were playing against the Saints. And that was one of my pregame speeches where I put out the "Eat the W." Now, this is that was the only time they caught it on film. Like,
but you did it before?
I did it before, man. And I always used to talk about, hey, man, we about to eat some, how they had the alphabet soup?
Yeah.
Like, man, we eat some alphabet soup. We going to scrape the plate. You know what I'm saying? But, hey, we ain't going to eat all the other letters. The only thing we eat is W's, So I just revamped it into this, and the big thing was, like, when I put the W in my mouth, that's when a couple of my teammates was just like, hey, hold on now. I'm not going to dap you up, man. You really ate the W this time.
Yeah, you really did it.
You went from telling us to eat W's to really eating the W, and it was just something like, just trying to get the team on the up and up, man.
Yeah, sure.
It was just a motivational thing. And, the bad thing is we lost, right? We would have won that game against the Saints. Oh, my gosh. It would have been. You know what I'm saying?
You sold $100 million in them shirts.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the next time it got big is when, Monday Night Football, when we went up to Tampa and blew them out 38-3, and I ate it with Drew.
Yeah.
So
how was it on that side of that? That's a become, Atlanta and New Orleans has always been a very heated rival, but the Tampa Bay, I mean, it's in the conference and all of that stuff, and then the Mike Evans stuff and all of that, those things that happen or whatever. Like, how it's like you got to be fired up when you come out.
Yeah, no, you do, and it was that year. I think that 2017 years when that rivalry started. Right, with Marshawn and Mike, and and I just got to take the credit because I started that rivalry. Like, I started it, man. I was the one that started that whole thing, But I think anytime that you're playing against a team twice out the year, like I remember when I first got in the league, man, like we playing against Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, and Drew Brees, right? 3 MVPs in this league, and like it's just personal. Like, man, I got to be the best quarterback for us to win this week. And when you playing against guys like that every single week, it's a certain level of approach that you got to take because you got to get the win. Because you win your division, you get in the playoffs. Yeah. But when I came to the Saints, I think Sean Payne just taught me a whole new outlook on everything. It's like, hey, it's a different way to win every single game. Now we gonna win the game. Now it might look different from week to week. But I'm gonna put us in a situation to do this. So that was the first time I was just like, man, I'm understanding like how to really win in the NFL versus like I'm just going out there thinking about how the heck am I going to outdo Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and Cam Newton. Yeah. I think the NFL does a good job of just creating that atmosphere of
they got a way to market it for sure.
They do.
Yeah. Rick had his moment whenever y'all won the that was the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
And
media, get people fired up. There's still, there's in Iowa at least, I wasn't a part of, I didn't have the same sort of, bubble you could say that Jameis had. The pressure cooker wasn't as big. I was more relegated to Northeast Ohio and Iowa. But yeah, I had a little quote that was, a love it or leave it quote. It was one of those, like, the question brought me to it. It wasn't like preemptive or anything like that, but it just goes to show if you say something kind of catchy or something that's gonna that's clicky, it'll stay with, and it usually turns fun. Maybe there's a little heat at the beginning, but which I had, and then it just kind of eventually becomes something that's fun. I think what it points back to is the quarterbacks are always willing to go above and beyond for their teammates,
no doubt,
to get everybody riled up, to get the city, the state riled up. You have a different mindset. You have like Jameis spoke to about, Sean Payton giving him a different lens. You do really have that as a quarterback where you examine things differently. I think each level, I felt that, man, I felt like I was looking at the screen a little bit closer, and I was looking at the frames a little bit slower, and I was trying to go into the game and try to understand the inner workings of the game. And like Jameis said, not just throwing touchdowns or throwing passing yards. These guys are thinking about the exact details of the exact play, and then the exact details of who they're playing that week and what happened the previous three weeks. And, you start to see how much preparation goes into the sport. And that piggybacks off of what I saw with Jameis when I first met him, was that attention to detail in a simple drill. You've got to imagine, Jameis, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, all those guys that you talk about, they're sitting in that film room. You guys don't even see how much time these starters are putting in at the NFL level. Like I got to be around a lot of great players, got to be around Eli Manning, got to be around Matt Stafford, and they're in that film room before you, and they're in that film room after you, and their attention to details is impressive. And that's the one thing that drew me to GOTA. I'm like, oh, these guys are watching tape. Like they're doing what Jameis does, what I did, what Sean Payton's doing. They're watching those details. They're letting the eye in the sky tell them the truth, and then they're making small adjustments off of that.
Yeah. Well, and then lastly, you got your agency now, right? Just when you kind of partnered up with that, or how's it?
No, my friend, he's the owner.
Okay.
But like we went to school together.
Okay, great.
And he's doing some great things, especially with the an advancement of the NIL. So got a couple of athletes, man. I'm basically the main recruiter.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because,
well, I know it's important to you or whatever. I wanted to make sure that we touched on
it's
it.
really important to me just to see the grind of Joseph Hernandez, who's the head guy over at Just Win, and he has a few guys, Max and other guys that help him with Just Win management, and it's really just our morals of just trying to cater to the athlete, at an early age, and provide them with a great support system to be able to basically put them in the best situation to, one, financially take care of their family right now, in the future, be able to get deals and create relationships with other sponsors to hopefully make them basically set them a legit foundation, not just on the field, but off the field as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, kind of wrap it up or whatever. I appreciate y'all, and Rick, I know you're probably answering 1,000 phone calls about a $9.99 sale last day, but
it's blowing up.
Yeah, the cert's getting out there a little bit, but Coach, I appreciate you. I appreciate your authenticity, Jameis. I hope you're here next year. I don't know what the future holds or whatever, but I think you're a good guy. I think both of y'all are quality men that need to be around children and need to be some type of mentor or something like that. And, as far as whether you're here next year or not, I know it's not the last of Jameis Winston, because we prepping that body to play for 20 more years. Yeah. So, I appreciate y'all coming on, man. And if,
Yeah, one last thing, like young boys and girls, I would just say, if you out there training and you out there and you have a basically a facility that you with, invest in that facility, invest in those people that help you get to where you at, because what that does is it puts you right in the mix of the next young kid that's going to be you. And I think sometimes we overlook that. In terms of we want to sometimes attack or reach the grand scheme of things when we got kids in our backyard that just need our time, right? And if we got the money, some of our money, and just a little the little things that we can do to help out a GLS, to help out a modern day fitness, can help prep the next generation of kids that are going to achieve so much more than us. So, man, every time in training, and it's always great to hear about your story. Every time in training, you build these relationships with people that help you get to where you want to go, but you kind of forget about them once you get to where you at, man. Mm-hmm. But the easiest place to invest in is a place that you grew up in. And and I see kids coming through here left and right. And I see kids that's been with you for a long time. And that's how it is at MDF, man. We got, like I said, he got a lot of kids in the NFL, just him. Like, he didn't have other people working out with him. You know what I'm saying? He actually get old kids that he trained to come back and work with him. Mm-hmm. And we just put a lot of kids out there. So I just encourage you also, man, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, what I mean by that, by being get comfortable being uncomfortable, mean like every situation is not going to be your most ideal situation, but the way that the choice that you make to choose on how you're going to persevere is going to be what's really important. Not necessarily the situation that you're in or the circumstance you're in. It's the choices that you make. It's the integrity that you have for who you are. Because no one can take that out of you, man. And I just appreciate you guys' integrity of who y'all are. And it definitely makes our relationship so much easier to come in here and apply what y'all teaching, man, because y'all teaching some life-changing stuff.
Appreciate it.
I want to end on this. Man, Jameis, that's powerful what you said. You know, you hear people get on these type platforms and they say things because they sound like the right thing to say. I can honestly vouch for him when he talks about investing back to where you came from. It's a lot of things that I couldn't do in Birmingham, Alabama without what he's invested back into the kids there. Again, that's why morning, noon, night, if this man called me, I'm going to jump up and I'm going to be there because not only do I know by him making it, it's going to help him and his family. He's one of these people that absolutely refuses to leave other people behind. And one thing he told me years ago, man, he was just like, Coach, man, we got to do something to make sure I'm not the last one. You know, and most people don't think like that because it's a mind frame of, hey, I made it, I got what I need. Well, good luck for the rest of y'all. And hey, a lot of athletes, they do these camps and stuff, and they bring them back to their hometown, and the guy comes out on his Lamborghini or his Ferrari and tell the kids, you could be like me one day and pull off and don't even do anything with the kids. Man, every single thing that we brought back to Birmingham to help children, he has been actively involved every minute, every hour, the planning, staying there, giving his own time, giving his dollars. And I'm a huge proponent of believing that you cannot, and it's straight from the Bible. I didn't write this just like you say you didn't make the ankle.
Yeah.
I didn't write this. You can only reap what you sow.
Yes, sir.
I cannot go in my backyard and get watermelons if I didn't plant watermelon seed. Yeah. So the one thing I know Jameis did consistently over and over again, and on behalf of MDF, the training program, the MDF Nation, which is the foundation, we are extremely grateful for the thousands of dollars and time and effort and speaking up on our behalf that he's done, which has allowed me to be able to touch more kids. Mm-hmm. And so when he say that, I believe that, and a lot of people want to be blessed, but they ain't trying to bless nobody.
Tell them how we could contact you, Coach, like in case there's anybody in that area or nationally or whatever, or because, y'all have your foundation. We have Training Forward Foundation, which is me and Donald's foundation that we give back to the kids and stuff, to try to give them an opportunity. But I want you to plug that. Tell us how to get in touch with you in case there's somebody listening that wants to do something.
The best, one of the better ways to get in contact with me, we got the website, which is mdfnation.com. Mm-hmm. Also too, I got MDF Nation 1, which is my Instagram name, mm-hmm. which you can reach me on there. And hey, I'm old school. If you want to get in contact with me, it's 205-249-0707. Again, 205-249-0707. I like relationships. I'm a relational person.
We ain't giving your number out.
No.
Honestly, you can have my number at 281-360-8004.
You're going to be getting a bunch of Eat the W texts coming through.
Hey, they're going to be hitting up Mike Jones.
There you go. So, ending it, Coach Gary, GLS training, GOTA movement. It was great, man. I enjoyed it. I know it's not the last. I got to see you in the black and gold again. That's the, it'd be perfect. It's right here, right? Because listen, it happens all the time. I get the Saints guy, he goes. Yeah, it's you, Caden possibly, and then they better take care of my boy Jawan.
Kane and Jawan definitely gonna be here.
You think? Yeah,
I definitely know that.
Yeah,
it's up in the air with me. Obviously, I would love to be here in this city, man. I love this city. I just want to play for this city.
Yeah,
because
they love you back too.
No, I owe this city some wins. But anyways. The good Lord gonna know where we gonna be at, man.
Yeah, what they said it last week. You want to make somebody laugh? Tell God your plans.
Oh yeah. Hey, but we thankful for the Saints, man. Listen, man. New Orleans is like no other place I've ever been. Oh, yeah. It's like a nation inside of a nation, and the way that they supported him has been world class. And I just want to say, regardless of whether we be back here or not, the New Orleans people always. I'm serious. They got a special place. And I'm serious because those people roll, man. Yeah, it's been the most support I've seen him get. I'm being honest. We appreciate the Saints people.
We really do.
Yeah. All right, Coach Gary, GLS training, GOTA movement, GLS GOTA _ education is Rick, GLS GOTA _ training is myself. See y'all next time. Thank you.